What is up, everybody? My name is Richard Terrell. I go by Kirby Kid, and you are watching DO Live, a daily stream show in which we talk about game design. And we've been talking about skill and the D-card system. You know, here it is. Here's the D-card system right here. We've been talking about that for the last 5 streams or so. But now I just kind of want to look at a few examples and move the cursor. Okay, I got it. So this is the new Switch online streaming service, and I'm watching my friend Travis play. He's never played really a Mario platformer. He was a Sega guy going up, so he played with us a little bit with New Super Mario Bros. U, but he played on the gamepad, so he's not really. He's pretty new to the whole platforming thing. Let's do Discord if you want. Otherwise, that's fine. So, you know, watching a beginner play kind of teaches you a lot of things about what a game looks like to a beginning player, what a game looks like to someone who is unfamiliar with how Mario works, or what's happening. And I'm eating sherbet. Orange sherbet is so good. And I kind of want to talk about a few examples. We'll look at a little Mario here. We'll take a look at Mega Man 11 demo, and we will. I'll show you a prototype for a game that I came up with that was inspired by the D-card system. I came up with this idea many years ago. I guess around 8 years ago. So it's been a long time, and it never actually got completed, but it's cool to talk about nonetheless. So we did this whole long talk about the D-card system and dexterity, knowledge, timing, adaptation, reflex. And for an action game like this, for Mario, you get to see a lot of it constantly in action, right? Constantly controlling Mario, his jump, you gotta time things, you gotta understand what to do about the environment. Really, a lot of the different facets of the skill are firing constantly. And you know, Mario accelerates downhill. And a lot of other details. Sometimes it can get kind of overwhelming. And a lot of discussion on skill kind of oftentimes gets, is it choppy for you, Travis? I was disconnected. Yeah, a lot of times discussion of skill gets, you know, tangled up in the weeds, and people try to talk about what's hard for them, what's not hard for them, what seems to be difficult, what should be difficult. And I think the D-card system kind of sidesteps all of that and tries to look at things in a more sort of simple, objective, and measurable way, as much as possible. So, let's see if I can jump back in. Oh, looks like Travis is on voice chat with this crazy thing. Let's see if this works. Nintendo. I'm just gonna tap a button and see what happens. Hey Travis, can you hear me? Okay, well maybe you can hear me, maybe you can't. I cannot hear you. So, keep playing, Travis. Keep playing. Well, maybe I'll take over. No, give me the controls, Travis. No. Oh, you're gonna try a 2-player game? Where'd you go? Trying to get your headset? Well, anyway. As Travis gets set up, I think I can, it'd be kind of cool to go back and forth between a new player and a seasoned player. Is this just the demo reel going off? Where did Travis go? Okay. Travis, you actually have to play the game if I'm going to put you on stream. Okay, there he goes. That looks like Travis. Okay. If you're talking, Travis, I cannot hear you. But if you can hear me, do a couple of crouches for me. It does not look like crouches. Is this even Travis or is this a demo play? Okay. Well, if I can't hear him and he can't play, then I'll just show you myself. Hopefully that's not too loud for you guys. Yeah, so one of the things I really like about Super Mario Bros. 3, I was kind of talking about this earlier. It's pretty bad. It keeps blaming your latency. I don't know if that's true or not. Wow. But Mario Bros. 3's level design is pretty minimalistic, especially if you compare it to a lot of other sort of platformers or a lot of action games that have a lot of enemies and obstacles going on. You know, Mario Bros. 3 looks like it gets a lot done with a very few amount of elements. And, it still has some of the best level design I've ever seen, right? It does a lot with so little, and what it does is really good. So I'm gonna beat this boss real quick. No! Oh, that was close. Okay. I'll do this, and this, and we'll go right over here to these audios. Oh cool, it starts off on a slide. This level's so cool, I love these levels. But yeah, like, Mario, you got a lot going on. You have things like acceleration, you have jumping, you got all these timing elements, you got enemies that cheaply trade hits with you. You got secrets. You got bonus areas, you got coins. We know a lot about Mario's design right now, but essentially, when we say that this game is built around a simple and solid core, really all you do for almost the entirety of the game is this right here. You move back and forth and jump for things, you know, avoid pits, avoid enemies, jump for power-ups, jump for coins. That's pretty much it. But with that base, the game does so much with defining its challenges and expanding sort of the ways that it communicates these things, right? So the environment itself, the shapes that that it's presented in, and the different sort of obstacles and enemies and sequences in which these things come about, pretty significant. For the most part, because action games are stressing a lot of D-card skills like constantly, that's sort of the base that we're working with. So when we talk about skills for games like this, we usually try to talk about what unique thing it does and like what's required to interact with that unique thing in a specific way. Let's take this for example. Cool level. Oh no. So like aiming, floating, delaying your timing. That's funny. Jumping on moving targets. Ah! Almost died. No! So one of the things we talked about on the previous stream is, okay, we consider action games, we can talk about all the different scenarios and setups and ideas that they communicate through their setups and through their level design. And like what Mario does here is it creates a lot of varied environments for you to play around with, but then they have interesting places like this. Let me load that. So let's say I'm Fire Mario, and I'm cruising along. I just skip that area and I go over here. This area is a neat little playground that sort of emphasizes a lot of different things that you can do here. Of course, there's enemies that you can get rid of. Getting rid of this guy just requires jumping on him, which small Mario can do, or you can just burn him with big Mario. And when you burn him, and then when you pop this out, which way is this thing gonna go? The same way I'm facing? Let's see. Same way I'm facing. Okay, let's try that again. As Big Mario, you can break all the bricks. It requires a different strategy, a different approach, different power-ups. Okay, here we go. So Big Mario, you can break the bricks and then make the mushroom come out the same way you're facing, and it'll actually stay in this little zone right here. But if you hit the Koopa, then even getting the one-up mushroom to fall in that area is a kind of a different setup here. Like, if I do this, and then that thing falls to the left or whatever, it'll fall down here, bounce off this, and potentially go under here. And if you chase it, you might potentially discover that this is a multi-coin block. Just lots of little things that the natural challenges of the environment, survival, going after special things, and exploring the space allow you to do. So this little area right here is filled with lots of neat little goodies that they tuck away. Like, oh, D-pad please. There we go. And the fact that enemies load back in when you come back to it, it's kind of neat. Ah! So, what I'm really looking for when I'm playing an action game or I'm playing a combat game is really what they allow me to do and not necessarily what they force me to do. I think games like Mario show us really well that having sort of the emergent breathing room to sort of find your flow zone, find your own interesting things to interact with, how you want to interact with it. Let's see if this works. Oh, the other direction! Is it because I changed direction at the last second? Pick your challenges, pick your moments, vary the timing of things. Like, that's a whole lot of open variation that you play around with. Let's see if I can do this. Can I do this? Ah, no! Yeah, cool with the raccoon tail. So we're going to use Mario as a model. It's a basic way of understanding how we're going to tackle discussing a lot of other action games and combat situations. Can I grab this turtle shell? I haven't been very... There we go. Can I put it down on the ground? Nope, not in this game. Nope. And I don't know where this trend came about of making really long levels and making players do really strict, specific things. I guess, let me see if I can get this. You went the wrong direction! I don't know why that thing chooses one direction or the other. Oh, this is cool too. Let's see if I can do this. That's so cool. And there's so many cool things that you do. I think there's a really good Miyamoto quote. Let me see if I can probably see if I can find it. But he was basically saying, like, there's some gamers out there that kind of want the game to entertain them and show them cool stuff and basically do the cool stuff for them, or force them to do stuff. And he said it was really sad, and he kind of thinks it's pathetic that they're missing out on all the rich, interesting experiences when you challenge yourself and go by your own curiosity and do stuff like that. So that's essentially what I'm saying here. I like my combat games that are like, ah! No! Oh, that didn't kill him? Okay. I like my combat games and I like my action games to have breathing room, to be really clean and clearly presented, and give me some room to play with. Give me some things to play with. Give me some situations, some simple things I can do to refine over time, right? Like, what's the point of having all this analog space and all this control over my character if they don't give me sort of precise things to use that control for, right? So let's just do this. Great. I almost killed myself. Oh, I almost extended that over here. I may have been able to get a one up. Ah! And I like the fact that auto scrollers make this really interesting, more dynamic timing challenge. So instead of controlling the pace all yourself, the stage partially controls it. And then the natural swaying of the ship here kind of makes it even more complex, because the ship is changing its location relative to these static projectiles. So that's a really complex setup, and then it's over. What I love about Super Mario Bros. 3 levels is they're short, they get their ideas in and out, they get the job done. Simple bosses, get out of my face, catch things in midair. Cool. And I think another thing to keep in mind, kind of like what we discussed last video with the skill spectrum and how slowing the game down allows you to express more skill and speeding it up allows you to express less. In order to utilize more skill, which should be what you're looking for in your action game, your combat game, not necessarily more difficulty, but allowing enough emergent complexity and interesting things to do that you have a range of ways of displaying your unique personality and playstyle and skill set through playing the game. That's what's important. So for the same reason, I think having sort of emergent, playful breathing room allows for you to use adaptation in a more fully fleshed out way. So if you only have one, I'll show you here. If you only have one skill that you're stressing, which is basically like knowledge, you know, all the adaptation is going to be tier 1. But if you have more skills and you bring in more situations where they can mix and match skills internally and then mix and match 2 of these different types of categories, your adaptation gets richer and richer. And the more rich your adaptation, the more flexible your game is in terms of having the player control their difficulty and meet the challenge where it is, right? In a bunch of different angles, but still doing the same challenge. And when you do that, you can make a game that achieves the flow zone a lot better, where people can control their difficulty and not make it too hard and not make it too easy. And that's just really important for the idea of playing a game. I think a lot of people sort of don't make a really clear distinction. Don't make a clear distinction between just hard challenges and things that are hard and what playing is, like playing through difficulty is. Doing a lot of trial and error, ramming your head against a challenge, getting frustrated, turning your brain off, that's not play, right? That's just you trying to overcome something that's difficult, maybe in the best way possible, maybe not in the best way possible. But play is something that's a lot more flexible. It's motivated a lot by your curiosity. In terms of what you do and how you do it is a lot more flexible. It's not just like do this now whenever we say too bad. Like you can kind of control the method in which you do it and how much you do it. And there's a lot to be said about sort of doing things just for their own sake or doing things just because, which is kind of like something that's very sort of one-on-one with what playfulness is and playing around. So when you're up against hard challenges, a lot of times people know that you can ram your head against it or try hard, but actually overcoming hard challenges through play, that's like the difference between Mario and so many other style games, right? Like this game is so much more playful. You have so much more versatility and variety and things to get inspired by and emergent breathing room than so many other games. and you learn as you go. Like the thing a lot of people also don't understand. Oh, that's fun. Oh, come on. No! See, that was fun. I almost landed on this Koopa and got like a double hit, maybe even gotten a 1-up. Actually, can you get a 1-up from that? We're gonna see. Hold on, guys. Yeah, right here. See, like, now I'm really curious to see if this is a thing. So how did I do that? Can I even chain it from here? Okay, we're gonna have to create a spin point. Why not? No, mushroom! No, mushroom! There we go. And if I had a Tanuki tail, I'd be busting up these rocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If I had a Tanuki tail, like 5, 6. Okay, so we need one freaking more. So let's load it up. So we're gonna need all of these. So let's get that guy to go over there. Let's get this guy to come over here. Okay, let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll get the turtle loaded as quickly as possible. Oh no! Still 8,000? What else could I have done? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ah, just 8,000. I need one more to get a 1-up. Would it have even been possible for me to catch up to that one? Who knows? I'm curious now. Cool. So let's take a look. Oh, you guys weren't even seeing the Mario action. Wow, what a waste. Well, I'll just cut that out. Might as well. So we're going to switch back over to... I'm going to pause this and switch back over to this. Okay. So this was an idea that I had for a game a long time ago, and where is it? I actually saved the GameMaker file for it and was able to dig it up. But I call this idea Playstyle Pong. And essentially, it's a version of Pong that allows you to play in your own playstyle, according to the D-cart system, right? So we're gonna add right here. It should look very familiar to you guys. I'll just put this right here then. It's kind of obnoxious, but we're gonna have to deal with it. Okay, so you can see kind of the D-cart pentagons or hexagons down at the bottom. This was an idea I came up with where it's like, why don't we take a simple game like Pong and we apply the D-cart system to it, right? And when we apply the D-cart system, we'll allow the player to start off with this very basic game of Pong, and then every time they get like 5 rallies or whatever, some specific number that I don't quite remember, players, build up points, right? So the goal of the game is to win, I think, 2 rallies before your opponent wins 2 rallies, and every time you go to 1-1 with your rally, it resets back to 0. So you have to win by over 2 rallies, or by at least 2 rallies. But when you get enough points, a little thingy should come up. I'm not sure what it's counting. And it gives you the opportunity to add a rule into the game mix, right? And these rules are based on the D-cart system. So like if you're really good at knowledge, you're like, I want to make this game more stressing knowledge than just straight up Pong. Because straight up Pong is kind of boring, which is kind of the point. And then we'll let the players add rules to it in this really interesting way. So let me see if I can add one rule. So the left side does this. Where is it? Okay, left side. Hold the buttons. I don't know how they do it. Okay, something like that. One of the players hits magical buttons, and then they get the option right here. Let's see. So like, oh look, timing, reflex, adaptation, knowledge, dexterity. I get a chance to add some of these elements into the mix. And I want to add some elements that are more the thing I want to do. So let's start with dexterity and see. Okay. So as you can see now, it only affects me? Well, so the one on the left, the Pong on the left, the paddle is smoothly going up and down, but the one on the right, if you tap it, you actually have to double tap it, right? So now it's just a tiny dexterity requirement for smooth motion. So like that. And the one on the left is still smooth. I think they were both supposed to be affected, but let's just pretend. You're like, oh, that's crazy. So now, if this person, whatever, gets points, let's try again. So let's add more dexterity to that. In the charts at the bottom, we're supposed to be moving and keeping track of all this, and it's supposed to have some feedback. I was not good at programming back then, but let's try this. More dexterity. Let's see if it even works. Okay, let's try it again. More dexterity. I don't even know what it requires now. It's supposed to get more and more intense, basically. I'm not sure what it's doing. So let's try knowledge. I don't even think these work. I'll have to look at the code. It just keeps making obnoxious sounds. Reflex? Okay. It's like not adding any rules. Maybe we disabled them all. Maybe this was an older version. So stop. I can't even stop you. Oh, I can stop you. Cool. I can leave it on the screen. Okay. So here are some of the interesting twists that I came up with this game. Starts off as Pong for everybody, and you're supposed to win by 2 rallies. When the let me show you a game that inspired this. Wow, it was an indie browser game. Okay, cool. Let me just show you this. If I can find it and do that. So there's a game called Gnop, and it's Pong spelled backwards. And this game was really inspiring. It's a clever take on the classic, very minimal instructions on how to play. Particular challenge doesn't really take longer than a couple of minutes to beat if you're good at deciphering cryptic clues. So you play it, you click this button, let's hope it works. Site can't be reached because it's on the internet and it was before 10 years ago or 8 years ago. That means nothing works. I wanted to... let's just see if we can YouTube this. I doubt there's a YouTube video on it. No, wow. So some things, even on the internet, just are completely lost to time. Yeah. TakeSource probably has it in their archives. So the cool part about this game is I think you have to avoid hitting the ball, since it's avoid hitting paddle for high score. So it's Pong backwards, but the rules are also inverted. Instead of keeping the rally alive by hitting it with your paddle, you're trying to avoid it, and the ball does crazy things, and you're trying to fake it out and fake out your opponent and lose faster. So let's see if it works at all. Probably not. Nope. So one of the cool things about one of the cool things about my whole computer's slowing down. Let's stop these memory leaks. Oops. One of the cool things about Gnop was every time you lose, I think the screen shifts over to the side. So if you lose in the main game, it shifts over and there's like another game that you're playing and you're still trying to get the ball to go past you. to win. And then if the AI wins, it shifts a little bit back over, and it shifts over to its side if it's beating you. So you can literally keep track of who's up and score, kind of like a tug of war, where it's the position that the screen is scrolled is basically your point advantage. And I thought that was really cool. I tried to incorporate that idea into Playstyle Pong. Didn't quite make it. But the idea is you're just trying to win by 2 points. And every time the rally goes a certain amount of points, you get an opportunity to invest in one of the D cards. Each D card has 5 levels of severity, right? So like at the beginning, the dexterity was just a double tap, maybe then it's a triple tap, maybe just more and more taps or something like that to get it going. But then those rules can layer on top of each other. I think the knowledge one, we had some ideas. Can you guys even see this? Probably not. The knowledge was supposed to have some challenges where, what was it? It was like, there was these boxes in the middle of the screen, and they would appear in between rallies, and the pong ball would disappear. And then the box would shoot out pong balls towards your side that you have to block. But it would shoot them out in the same order that the ball passed the center of the field when you were playing in your rally. So basically you rally back and forth for 5 rallies, and then all of a sudden you have to remember exactly where those positions were. So it's just like a little bit of short-term memory test. See if you can keep track of things, and even stresses a few other aspects of knowledge skill. You can imagine something like that being laid on top of dexterity would get kind of difficult if both of those were active. Reflex one was similar, where the ball would move to the center, stop, and then zoom to either like in a different angle, like up or down. And you're supposed to use your reflexes to move either up or down to block it. So it's testing your reflexes, and the faster it zooms, obviously, the harder the reflex. Or it would do it like one of those choice reflex challenges where the ball would go in the middle, wait, and then it would shoot like a gray ball and a white ball, and you're supposed to hit the white ball, and you have to make a choice between which one it is and move. So like really simple D-carts inspired ideas, but expressing them through Pong. Timing, similar things, similar little mini games. And the cool idea is the more you mix and match these different rules, the more intense the Pong game gets. But when the whole board shifts over to one side or the other because a point is won or lost, those rules stay on that board. Yeah, so one board over here can have basically a ton of dexterity, and then the middle board could have a ton of reflex, and then the left board could have a ton of timing. And if you're good at reflex, bad on timing, you don't want your opponent to get it pushed over to that side of the board. But if you're only good at this one, you kind of want it to spread out your influence and balance it out so that you're good at something on all the boards. I feel like there was a little bit of an interesting potential there for strategic planning and knowing your own skill set and then using that as information moving forward. I think that was one of the most important parts of it. So that was a basic idea of Playstyle Pong. We prototyped it just a little bit, but it was clearly like kind of a crazy idea. Still interesting. One more wrinkle is that if each D-card type has 5 levels of severity, once you reach the 5th level, all the rest of the sort of potential types that are in that playfield are ignored, and the game becomes a pure version of just that skill that almost ignores Pong entirely, right? So if dexterity is the example, let's say somebody's at dexterity level 4 and people are like multi-tapping up and down to get their paddles to move, and it's getting pretty intense. The next player who invests a point in dexterity to reach level 5, no matter how many other ones are currently active, the whole game sort of converts into a pure dexterity challenge, and it would be maybe something like you saw in the D-card game where you have to move up and down or scroll a mouse or something like that. And then once that's either won or lost, you know, obviously the player gets a point, but then all of the dexterity invested in that, because it was level 5, gets reset back to 0. I think that's how it works. So there's an opportunity there to invest in one of the skills, get it to level 5, and try to beat your opponent. There's an opportunity there to let something go to level 5 in the middle, so that if you're not good at it, at least when you lose it at the level 5 level, it'll reset, and then you can probably try to win it back on your side to get points to push it all the way back over. Like little things like that I thought would be really interesting. I thought it'd be really neat to mix and match these rules and come up with lots of different rules that stress the decart system in different ways. And it was just a really sort of clear and visual way for individual subfacets of skill to be highlighted and individual players to make more conscious decisions about what they think they're good at and what they think they're not good at. So that's why I called it Playstyle Pong, and it's a really neat idea. It's kind of like Enlighten if you think about it. You know, taking an existing really simple game and adding these layers on top to get people to be more conscious about how they learn and who they are. So apparently I've been doing this kind of approach for game design and game creation for a long time. But that's essentially what that is. So I think I'm going to jump back over into Mega Man 11 and show you one more cool thing. Too bad I didn't get to completely show you the footage when I was playing Mario, but it was cool on my end. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. Here we go. I mean, I could just show you. I was essentially just playing this desert level like this, and I was trying to bounce on top of these guys' heads to... Oh, shoot! No! I was trying to bounce on 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you can bounce on the turtle, but it doesn't give you a 1-up. And I was trying to see if that was possible. It may be possible, but it's pretty hard. I think you need the raccoon tail to pull it off. Oh my goodness! Let's... I want to try it. Oh no! I need to kill myself. Can I even get a raccoon tail over here? No, I don't even have one. Well, I'll experiment with that another time. But I think if you have a raccoon tail, you can bounce all on them, hover low to the ground, and bounce on a few more enemies to get a 1-up. That'll be cool if I discover that later. So here's Mega Man 11, a game that people think is really hard. Like Mario, Mega Man, or so like the classic Mega Man games, Mega Man 11 is a new game but made in that style, so everything's going to be sort of two-dimensional, clear feedback, simple enemies, no, and simple level platforming layouts, right? So this is Blockman, the only stage you can play in the demo. This open area looks really pretty. I guess they're building a pyramid. Look at that pyramid in the background. But let's check this out. So I'm Mega Man. Why do the controls feel all wrong? Why does this feel so wrong? Okay, that's fine. Okay, we're good. So, you know, this level has very clear gameplay ideas. It's got unique enemies that have very clear interplay. It's got simple enemies and hard enemies, and they try to arrange them all. They try to arrange them all so that, you know... Oh, that guy hit me. To where you have a fun time shooting them and surviving. The levels are kind of long, these levels, so there's kind of a gauntlet to get through them all. Oh, that totally hit you. There we go. So that guy has a little bit of an internal or static timing challenge, as you can see. These enemies are more like reflex. They only activate when you get close. And then they try to shoot you, and if you mess up, you can get shot pretty easily. And like all the classic Mega Mans, this game tests a lot of your skills and timing And it's very simple setups that are very effective. I can't believe they don't pause the game when you get your health energy, but you know, I guess some things just have to go. See, that was a cool timing challenge. Okay, so this is cool. The window for hitting that guy is only that small bit of area where the wheel is exposed. However, when he's moving away from you, the timing challenge goes from being a static timing challenge, or whenever he's moving, period, it's a static timing challenge that turns into a complex one, because you have to really time your shots like across a larger distance, assuming that your bullet is not hit scan. It's not. The travel time actually makes it hard to calculate. So usually when you keep things simple and you let things in the space breathe, you get a lot of cool situations like this, where even the simplest enemy can provide some interesting challenges. This one's a little bit more about dynamic visual acuity. Oop. I think if you move in one direction, you have just enough time to do reflex right at the end. Yeah, like that on this chaining formation. Not easy, but definitely doable. Ah! You shoot him in the face. So yeah, even though a lot of these enemies look really simple, they got a lot going on. And the levels do a pretty good job of just developing this idea and having it increase in complexity. Nope. Nope. I double my chances of hitting him, that's funny. More power. No! So here's the cool thing that I really like about this demo. Let's see if I can exit. Let me see if I can hit the right button. Okay, what is the right button? Start? Did they just disable the exit button for the demo? This is weird. It's the A button. Okay, I'm just gonna have to die. That's a good chunk of invincibility. I guess Mega Man's always had about this much. There's a faster way to die. There's gotta be. I don't like it when they give the characters too many voices like that. Like, his voice is pew pew pew. That's his voice. Okay, so this game has a newcomer mode, right? Casual, but this is for people who have never played a Mega Man game as it describes. And I highly recommend people, after beating the level the first time, to go back and play it on newcomer mode, just so they can experiment and practice techniques. So traditionally games like this don't give you a lot of good ways to practice, so you're pretty much on the battlefield, on the hook for everything right when you start playing. That's why I really liked Mega Man 10, because they gave you a challenge mode that allowed you to select bosses and get a lot of specific practice, but only after you've encountered the boss for the first time. So nothing's free, but they do give you the tools when you've earned them. But one thing I did not like about Mega Man 10's, let me see if I can find it. I need to do this. Mega Man 10's difficulty mode was separate modes, like casual or whatever, just like you see here. But the thing with Mega Man 10 is Mega Man 10 challenge difficulty modes and images. Yeah, right here. So easy mode, they put platforms on top of all the spikes and they reduce enemies. In hard mode, they show you comparatively there's going to have lots of spikes. The enemies are going to be there shooting you down. It's going to be a lot harder for those reasons. Just giving you an idea of like what you're getting yourself into. But what I like about Mega Man 11 so far is they don't change the level challenges, right? They don't change the platforming that you're doing. They don't put hover platforms to allow you to make this jump by walking across. They actually do this. And then Beat comes to save you, and you can kind of move back and try it again if you messed up. And you mess up again, and I think you get infinite number of beats. Oh, and if you jump off too early, you know, it's no big deal. No big deal. So you're playing the same game as everyone else, and those handicaps are there when you need it. So essentially this is newcomers mode, and look, that guy's the same challenge. These jumping shoots, same challenge. The enemies have much less hit points, it looks like. But that's hardly a big deal once you start mastering Power Gear. And by mastering it, I mean not doing that. Enemies do a lot less damage. Right? You can practically run through them all if you want, but it's probably better for you to practice doing the real thing. And then on the same challenges, you can practice stuff like that. Like if this were a pit, practicing sliding into an edge jump like that, it's a lot easier to do on newcomer mode because you can just practice it and go back and go over and over. And just even ignore the stuff you don't want till you get to the area you do. So let's say I wanted to do something crazy here, where like rush jump and land on top of a brick. I'm going to practice that to see if it's even possible. Nope, not yet. And you can try as much as you want. And getting practice like that in normal Mega Man gameplay would be much harder. One fall down the pit and you'd have to reset. Just trying new stuff now because I have the freedom to do so. It is much less health. And I can try doing some of these more daring setups. And practice if that works. And get hit and don't worry about falling in. Let's see if I can put a rush on top of the brick. That's cool. And then fall in the brick. No! See? Didn't even know that was possible. But I'm learning a lot. No, doggo! Wow, I'm getting stuck underneath the brick. There we go. And I'm trying to do that in enough time to, I think I have to stand under the brick, summon Rush, move out from underneath it. That doesn't work either. Because Rush moves too fast. Okay, so that's impossible. So you have to actually come from this side of the brick. So close. Maybe I have to do the one fluid jump. Hey, I did it! So look how many repetitions it took me to figure out that was possible. Would have been pretty dangerous and pretty unfruitful if I did it outside of newcomer mode. No! And never been held up by this many. God. Oh wow, that's not good. Get me, jump out of the hole. Wow, you just didn't want to jump out of the hole. Nothing can save you from getting crushed by that apparently. But newcomer mode is interesting for this very reason. So you got a lot of things you can play around with. You can also, in normal play, slow down the time to get it used to timers. The last boss in this particular demo, it's got some pretty cheap attacks, right, that are hard to avoid. But since you have this permanent slowdown time, you can double or triple your reflex timing, easy. And then when you got a good hang of it, you can take the risk and reward and be like, this is offense, and then this is defense. Platforming, shooting. It's classic. It's just jump and shoot, man. So, as far as a way to give different people a way into the Mega Man experience, I feel like this is a superior design to 10. Even from a single difficulty perspective, these new gears are pretty interesting, right? I didn't use them a lot because I'm so used to normal Mega Man, but I definitely need to start thinking in terms of this. And then the newcomer mode gives you even more practice on the same obstacles if you can stomach it. So, looking forward to Mega Man 11, looking forward to playing more, looking forward to sort of detailing once again the interesting level design that's found in these kind of games. I did a lot of writing on Mega Man 9 back in the day, and I played a lot of Mega Man 10 and did some videos on the boss design. So we'll see if this game holds up. Looking pretty crisp so far. The run cycle animation and the voice are my least favorite parts. And then I guess the levels are kind of long. But I guess if they stuck to the same 8-level format or whatever in some Wily stages, they wanted to give people their money's worth. So they made each level long, kind of like Shovel Knight, and I felt like the Shovel Knight levels were a bit long. But that should be the stream for today. So if you guys have any questions on any of what you saw, just join us in the Discord and we can talk about it. So until next time, guys, unless we have any specific combat games to talk about, combat is really just rolling into a general discussion and a better way to talk about gameplay in general. So I can talk about a few specific interesting things that I've been thinking about recently in terms of combat. May not have a game to show for it, but other than that, we're just going to roll forward and do other interesting topics throughout the week. So until next time, guys, I'm out.